What's going on, y'all? Jay Roos of the Jay Roos Theory going live and direct. Make sure you guys beat down that thumbs up on your way in or on your way out or on the replay, however you view this. Tell a friend to check me out if they've never seen me before. Let them know what goes on over here. Let them know I get most of my picks right with this boxing thing. And Frank Warren, man, this dude has some minerals, as Tyson Fury would say. He's taking on Zuffa, ran by Dana White, and Selah Promotions or Productions, however you want to put it. I believe Mr. Turkey's involved with Selah. I know he's involved with Zuffa somehow. So it looks like Frank Warren is saying there's a breach of contract. He's saying they made these deals and all that without his consent, and he's saying he should have been involved in that. So he's saying had he been involved, he believes he's owed $1 billion. Is Frank smoking a nice one, or is he, setting it? Sometimes when people sue for an amount, they know they're not going to get that, so they set the bar really high and they end up getting what they really want. So if he sues for 1 billion, maybe he'll get 500 million. Either way, he'll be good. He's already good. But Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, I don't think they're too happy with the direction they see things going. There's a shift happening in the sport, and we already saw this with the Conor Ben and Eddie Hearn thing, and the promoters, like in the days of Don King and Bob Arum, they're, I don't want to say a thing of the past, but things are just being run differently now, and hopefully it'll be in favor of the fighters more. We'll have to wait and see, but there's bigger money involved. That's a fact. I mean, I was just watching the Superstars event where they would have like fighters challenging football players and Olympians, and they do swimming and lifting weights and basketball. And Tim Witherspoon was on there. Shout out to Tim, who I've interviewed a couple times on this platform. Go check that out on my interviews playlist. But Tim Witherspoon's days, they were not making the kind of money that they are making now. And that's the reason why a lot of fighters are trying to do comebacks. That's the reason people like Jean-Claude Van Damme are calling out Jake Paul, even if it's in the octagon. They want some of that money. They put in the blood, sweat, and tears too. They just weren't getting paid like they are today. And the guys back then were a lot tougher, a lot tougher. But yeah, I don't think Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn are too happy with the direction that they see things are going, because they're not in the driver's seat so much. And Floyd Mayweather is kind of the one that kind of got the ball rolling. Floyd Mayweather used to be with Bob Arum. I think maybe he had some interaction with Jay Prince. And I think Floyd realized, you know what? Why do I need a promoter? I can promote myself and keep more of the profit, which was a brilliant move. And I don't know why more fighters didn't seem to notice that and follow that example. Anytime you can cut out the middleman if possible, do so, especially when there's that big amount of money on the table. You want to make sure that you get as much as you can to secure you and your family for life. But Frank Warren suing for $1 billion. That's a lot of money. And should he win this lawsuit or say there's a settlement, that's still a big blow to Zuffa and Selah Promotions. That's a big blow. That's no chump change. Maybe for Turkey, maybe he's like, oh, that's my spare change. But That's a lot of money, even for a guy like Dana White. That's a lot of money. But we'll see what happens. I'll be watching this very closely, very closely. But other things going on. I didn't see the press conference with Wardley and Daniel Dubois. I saw or heard about, I should say, Wardley saying that Daniel Dubois got some quit in him. Wow. Called him to the carpet. Even made Daniel Dubois quit when they had the little face off. Dubois turned around first. Fabio turned around with a little. Got him. Shout out to Kurt from Counterpunch Boxing News. I was watching him talking about that. Got him. I think Wardley's going to beat Daniel Dubois. I really do. I think Daniel Dubois has a fragile mind. The only time he seems to hang in there is if he gets some instructions from his dad, which is ridiculous. Why can't he just do it on his own? Why does he gotta, look to his dad to, have the eye of the tiger? So I think Wardley's going to exploit that. I think Dubois is going to get hit with some hard shots, and the quit button's going to appear. Boom. Eject. I'm not comfortable. Daniel Dubois got to start training in a way where he's comfortable at being uncomfortable. He's got to realize it can get hairy in a heavyweight fight, and he can't just bail out the minute things aren't going his way, which we've seen him do. We've seen him hang in there with Hrgovic, with Big Baby Miller. He hung in there. He didn't hang in there with Usyk either time, for whatever reason. He didn't hang in there. But I just think Wardley's just going to do it. Wardley seems to be on a streak. I don't agree with the stoppage between Wardley and Joseph Parker. I thought Parker was kind of robbed of a potential victory that I think he was winning the fight. But whatever the case, Wardley's on a winning streak, and he doesn't know how to lose. So you take a guy that doesn't know how to lose with a strong mind versus a guy that knows how to lose and knows how to quit, which is Dubois. Got to go with Wardley. Who's the harder puncher? It's hard to say. Probably about equal. But I think the speed goes to Wardley. Dubois is fast, but I never liked his guard. He does that thing with his elbows out. I saw Lennox Lewis talking about that on a tutorial about how to jab and keep your elbows in. It's more comfortable to have your elbows out, but you got a lot of middle ground to take a nice uppercut with you. So you want to keep those elbows tucked. It doesn't seem like any trainers coming to Daniel Dubois' camp and taught him how to keep his elbows tucked, which is insane. Seemed like that's the first thing they would teach him is defense. Another thing Lennox Lewis said, when you're learning boxing, the first thing you want to learn is defense. You don't want to just be in there taking shots. That's no fun for anybody. YouTube is doing that thing again where it's like they want me to switch to vertical. Did you know that Usyk will fight Rico? Yeah, I heard about that. Rico Suave. Yeah, I heard about that. He's fighting a kickboxer. I had never heard of this guy that he's fighting, but Usyk deserves to fight a guy that's I don't want to say easy because the guy's not easy from what I've seen and heard about him. But Usyk deserves to fight someone that's not in the top 10. He fought Joshua twice, Witherspoon, Fury twice, Daniel Dubois twice, Derek Chisora. He's allowed to fight some dude that we don't know in the boxing world. Lennox Lewis would do it. He fought guys like Philip Jackson, and every fight wasn't hard. That's what I said about AJ. This dude is constantly fighting hard fights. You need one fight that's kind of a cakewalk. Jake Paul. So this is Usyk's turn. Fight this kickboxer guy, get I don't want to say easy victory, but he should get the victory, make a lot of money in the process, and yeah. So I don't have a problem with that, but Mauricio Suleiman is saying that after this fight that he's having next, that he should be fighting Caballero. So that's what's next. The WBC interim belt is held by Caballero, so he'll be waiting for Mr. Usyk, and that will be a barn burner of a fight. Oh, the title's on the line for that Usyk fight with the kickboxer dude, Rico Suave. Wow. Yeah, that's insane. What if this dude did pull off an upset against Usyk? As long as he doesn't go in there and forget that it's not kickboxing and kick Usyk in the head, Usyk should be straight. What's Usyk saying about don't push the horses or something? But so the belt is on the line for that, huh? I think Usyk will win because he's in his element, which is boxing. This kickboxer dude, he's used to letting his feet go, his feet and legs. So this is gonna be weird for him just to punch. So I see Usyk winning it, probably by decision, maybe stoppage late. One thing that I'm noticing, people don't seem to give credit to Usyk for having power. As you know, I've had his first trainer on here in the cruiserweight division, James Bashir. I've interviewed him many times, known him for years. He was Usyk's first trainer at cruiserweight. He's held Usyk, and he said this guy can pop. He can punch. People think he can't punch. I don't know if because he's coming up from cruiserweight, they consider him, oh, he's too small. He can punch. Evander Holyfield came up from cruiserweight. He could punch. You can't underestimate the dude because he's coming up from a lower division, but people continue to be cliche-ish with their observations of boxing and pugilism, which is the same thing. But if you just look at Usyk for what he is, the guy can punch. Ask Tyson Fury. Ask Anthony Joshua. Ask Daniel Dubois. The guy can punch. He's not a small guy. You might consider him small next to dudes that are like 6'7", 6'8", and 250, 260, even 280 and 300 pounds. You might consider him small with that, but he's not a small guy. If you go back in history, he would have been considered a big heavyweight. George Foreman in his early career, he was around 220. Usyk's like 223-ish. What do you weigh for the Dubois fight? Like around 226 or something? Same height as George, too. George is listed at 6'3". Usyk and Caballero should take place probably sometime in the summer because Usyk fought Dubois last July. So I'm thinking he probably wants a tune-up before he fights such a seasoned, tough guy like Caballero, who goes to the body like no other heavyweights right now. So I'm thinking Usyk is using this fight against Rico Suave. Remember Rico Suave? If not, go YouTube him. Rico Suave. Yeah, Usyk will be fighting Rico Suave, I guess using that as a tune-up. You don't want to fight a tough dude before a guy like Caballero. Nah, that's not going to do anything for you except add more mileage to your body. So Usyk and Caballero, I do believe, will be happening before the end of the year. Tough fight. Might be both guys' toughest fights. Might be Usyk's toughest fight, and it's definitely going to be Caballero's toughest fight. I guarantee that. I still favor Usyk in that, though. You don't think Usyk will train hard for this? I do believe. I think Usyk is I say gym lion. I don't like the term rat. Usyk is a gym lion. I think he trains hard no matter who he's fighting, and I think his focus will be the same because Usyk is a very intelligent guy, and if he studies history, he'll note that fighters usually lose against guys they're not supposed to lose to, i.e., Lennox Lewis versus Oliver McCall, Tommy Morrison, Bent, you know, Riddick Bowe, Galata. So I think Usyk will realize the minute you sleep on an opponent, that's when you take the nice L without the L Cool J, if you know what I mean. So I think Usyk will train hard like he's fighting Caballero. It's just he won't be fighting Caballero, but I believe the training's not going to change. Plus, AJ's over there in the camp, so they're probably iron sharpening iron. They're working together on drills and stuff. So Usyk is a guy you're never gonna get him out of shape or looking crazy. He's never gonna come into the ring looking crazy. That's not how he rolls. He's fighting for not just him, but his family and his country. Thurman and Fundora. That's a tough one. I don't really care for Keith Thurman too much, but that doesn't mean he's not going to win the fight because I don't care for him. I just don't like how he carries himself and some of the things he says. But that's a tough one to pick, though. That's a tough one to pick. I'm gonna say Fundora. He's taller, he's more active. I'm gonna go on a limb and say Fundora. Could be wrong, but I usually get my picks right, especially with the heavyweights. So I'm gonna go with him. Who you got? Who do you have in that fight? It's water, by the way. I do not drink alcohol. No. System clear. No drugs, no alcohol. Clean living, clean life. What you know about that? But I hope y'all having a great day out there, no matter where you're located. Everybody watching this, subscribers and non-subscribers from California to Georgia. I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you started off by praising the Most High, Yahweh, Yeshua. Dedicate your life to him and you won't go wrong, no matter what you face. I hate when YouTube tries to get me to switch the camera to vertical instead of horizontal. And it only does it sometimes. Glitching YouTube. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to become a member, there's bronze, silver, and gold exclusive content. You'll see things on there that I don't talk about for everybody. And you can subscribe to channel number 2. In WJ, you might have to type in WJ Boxing. I think there's some other in WJs, but this is the real one. Go subscribe to in WJ Boxing, and where I talk about everything over there, everything. Yeah, that's channel number 2. We got to grow that channel too. My numbers should be way higher than what they are, Don't play yourself, YouTube. Don't play yourself. Don't try to hold me back. You can't hold me back. I'll break through no matter what. But we got to get these numbers up. If you want to donate to the J Roos Theory, the Cash App is $JRoos33. Instagram, the J Roos Theory, if you want to DM me over there. But yeah, we need to see what it's the main topic I started off with was Frank Warren's $1 billion lawsuit against Zuffa, which is ran by Dana White or run by Dana White, and Selah, and Turkey's involved somewhere in the mix. So it's going to be interesting to see how these relationships unfold in the days to come. You know, when lawsuits happen, that kind of puts a damper on things. I noticed some friction before. I forget which pay per view it was with Turkey and Frank Warren when they were being interviewed. Turkey was talking about dropping the pay per view prices to like 20 some dollars. And Frank Warren was like, well, we can't do that, you know. So I was noticing some friction in there, you know. Hopefully Frank let greed get the best of him. You know, you can make more money if you're not greedy. Like gas stations, you'll see one gas station with a high price and hardly anybody at the gas station. Then you'll see a gas station with low prices with way more people. So who you think's making the most money? The gas station with the high prices nobody's going to, or the gas station with the low prices with lines around the corner? If you lower your prices, you get more people. But a lot of people just go for the big bucks right out the gate. They don't look at it, you know, mathematically. I hope there's no third fight with Fury and 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 Usyk. I don't want to see that. I'm sure Fury would like another one, but I don't want to see it. He wants Tom. I don't know why when they switch it to this, like when they're trying to make me go vertical, they make the screen real dark, so it's hard to read the comments. I don't know why they do that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming through. Yeah, I don't think Usyk has any interest in fighting Wardley. I think he mainly wants to fight the dudes that are mentioned when he turned to heavyweight. You know, dudes like Joshua Fury, Deontay Wilder. You remember, we thought it was set in stone that Usyk was fighting Deontay Wilder in Frisco. We already saw the banners and everything, and then nope, rewind. No Deontay Wilder, no Usyk. So maybe later if Usyk gets past Chisora, which I don't think he will, but we will see. We will see. I saw an interesting video, and I have to research this. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but maybe you guys that took chemistry could educate Jay Roos on this one. Someone said, and the guy said, I'm not going to say any names, but I think we all know who he's referring to. He said, if you dye your hair, I think he said white, but I think he meant blonde. He said it will prevent you from testing positive with PEDs. Did you get that? You know who he's referring to? The dude said if you dye your hair white or blonde and you take a drug test, it will show that your bloodstream is clean. Is there any truth to this? If none of you know that are watching now, that's cool. Maybe you can Google it while I'm on here or just leave it in the comments after I'm done with the live stream. And because I'm curious. I'm curious. I've often seen fighters that do that, and I'm like, why would they do that? That's a wild look. Like, why would you dye your hair blonde? That's just I don't know. I think Shannon Briggs was like the only dude that looked pretty cool with it. Like I don't like to see like dudes with short hair and the blonde like this. Like this kind of corny to me. Just a matter of taste, though. I thought that was an interesting observation, though. It would be kind of dumb too if the guy that was saying that about the dyeing the hair, if he was just making a video, because now we all have access to Google and a lot of information. All we got to do is look it up. So if he was lying, that kind of kills his credibility. So why make a video making stuff up? If you don't know, then don't say it. But if you don't know the fighter that I have in mind, uh, I'll just say this fighter has been in the headlines recently regarding Eddie Hearn, Zuffa, and Dana White. Now I think you know who I'm talking about. His name rhymes with with Bonner Ken. Do you know what I'm talking about now? Can I make it any clearer? Bonner Ken. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I believe the dude who made the video is talking about. I remember watching an old episode of The Office, one of my favorite comedies. And I remember Dwight had lied to his boss, Michael Scott, about being late to work or not showing up, and said he told Michael he went to the dentist. And Michael knew he was lying. So he said, "Oh, yeah, you went to the dentist? What was the name of your dentist?" And Dwight, thinking quick on his feet, he said, "Crentist." Michael said, "So your dentist is named Crentist." Okay. Obvious the dude was lying. Your dentist just happens to be named Crentist. When I meet people that don't like The Office, I'm like, wow, you must not have a sense of humor at all. That's one of the funniest shows ever. Or you're either slow witted. Because The Office is quick, you know, the lines are quick. What gets me about The Office is all the little expressions that Jim makes, and Steve Carell played Michael Scott. Just a little like, what's that? Or like when Jim turns his head slow, like, what's that? But yeah, one of my favorite comedies, The Office. When Steve Carell left, not the same show. Favorite characters on the show are Jim, Pam, of course, Michael Scott, Stanley. They're all funny. And Creed, that dude's funny too in there. Kind of in the background of the rest of the actors, but Creed, and I'm not talking about the boxer. Way off topic again, but you know that's how Jay Roos does it, and that's why you love it, because I got a wide range of topics. I'm gonna need YouTube to stop playing with my numbers. Stop playing around. Don't play yourself. Give me the respect I deserve. But what's going on? You guys hear that? I hate loud vehicles. I can't stand loud vehicles. Or you see these cars with all the fancy lights. It's like, do you really pay attention that bad? Got your car lit up like a Vegas casino. Your vehicle's loud. It's like, stop it, stop it. But these are the times where people are attention whores, man. They love them some attention. They say attention is the new currency, and I do believe it. It's like me, and more me. Signs of the times, y'all. Signs of the times. What else? Who else we got coming up? There's a loud motorcycle again. Get up out of here. Tyson Fury versus Makhmudov coming up on Netflix. And as I said on my other live stream, Netflix is kind of doing what DAZN said they would do originally. DAZN was saying no high pay-per-views, and I think maybe they've even said no pay-per-views at all. All you needed was a subscription. We all know that's out the window now. So enter Netflix. They're kind of doing the respectable thing. You just got to have a Netflix subscription, and you can watch the fights on there, which is cool. Hope they don't come up with a Netflix pay-per-view. I'll be like, oh, they're doing what DAZN's doing now. But so far, they had probably the biggest numbers for Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and that was not pay-per-view. Neither was Anthony Joshua with Jake Paul. All you needed was a Netflix subscription, and you were good to go. But I want to get some more interviews on the show this year. I didn't really have. I don't think I did. Did I? I only had one interview last year. It was a big one. Jim Lampley, me, Kurt from Counterpunch Boxing News. Go check that out on my interviews playlist. I only had one last year, but it was a big one. Jim Lampley, the voice of boxing. I want to get him back on, man. I really like just talking to Jim and just letting him just go. You can let Jim he's got so many great stories. But shout out to Jim Lampley. Shout out to Larry Merchant, too. You know what? I don't know much about Inoue. I don't know much about him. I've seen him. I've seen highlights, but his fights usually come on at such a weird hour because he's based out of Japan. So I'm not even educated enough to give you an answer on that. I don't want to make something up and not be genuine here. So I don't know, man. You know more about that than I do. I know Inoue's a talented guy, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I just wish he was in a division where the dudes were, bigger. I don't really like watching them dudes that are small. It's almost not even boxing anymore. It's like slapping. But yeah, Inoue's doing his thing. But like I said, I don't know enough about that division or those fighters to give a proper assessment on the matter. I'm not gonna act like I know everything. Like some people in the YouTube boxing community who will remain nameless. You know who they are. You just go to their channel, they know something about everything. I talk about everything, but if I don't know something about something, I'll admit it. I'm not gonna just start freestyling. But yeah, like I was saying, I want to get some more interviews, man. I had a lot of positive feedback when I interviewed Blackwell, the sparring partner for Mike Tyson before the Roy Jones and Jake Paul fights, based out of Fresno, California, where I got family there. Um, I got a lot of positive feedback. Even Seconds Out did an article on it. So shout out to Seconds Out. Got a lot of positive feedback from my Ray Mercer interview. Ray Mercer's a cool guy, one of the toughest guys to ever box, no matter what division. Ray Mercer. So that was a great interview, if I do say so myself. Great interview I had nothing to do with boxing, but I had on, like I've said many times, Alonzo Williams of the World Class Wrecking Crew, who's responsible for the careers of Dr. Dre, Easy E, Ice Cube, DJ Yella. Anybody based from the West Coast, Alonzo is the reason that these dudes took off. The song Boys in the Hood was recorded at his house, so go check that interview out. Alonzo Williams doesn't get the credit he deserves, by the way. He and Dusty Vision have a podcast every Tuesday called NWA Stories with Alonzo Williams, and the NWA stands for Not Without Alonzo. I remember when Easy E and was feuding with Dr. Dre and them, they were saying that Dre, Cube, and them was gonna form a group called NWE, Niggas Without Easy. But the NWA stands for Not Without Alonzo. So shout out to Alonzo Williams and Dusty Vision of Dusty Vision TV. I've had him on here. I've been on his platform. You can go type in the J. Roos Theory, Dusty Vision TV. You'll see my interviews on there. And talking about boxing and West Coast politics, street politics, stuff like that. I think you'll find it interesting. Jay Roos is well-rounded on topics, so check that out. Wow, is this the last day of February? Black History Month with the shortest month of the year. Yes, indeedy. Let's see, what fights are coming up that I'm not thinking of? Talked about Caballero Usyk after Usyk fights Rico Suave. Talked about Fury Makhmudov a little bit. Wardley and Dubois. Derek Chisora, Deontay Wilder. Talked about Thurman Fedor, even though that's not heavyweight. I did a video on Canelo coming up with excuses now after I gave him props for not coming up with excuses. And he originally said no excuses. Now he's got excuses. So I did a video on that. Go check that out. Go check out past live streams. But I'm like, come on, Canelo. It's kind of late in the game to be talking about you had leg cramps, dude. Your legs look fine to me. Matter of fact, your legs had to be fine because Terrence Crawford was hitting you with some bombs and you stood up to him. So your legs must have been all right, because if they was shaky, I'm pretty sure you would have hit that canvas like Picasso. But you just hate to see dudes come up with an excuse, you know. Boxers have big egos. It's hard for them to just say some dude beat my tail. You know, that's kind of asking too much for some guys. So they got to blame anybody, you know, the corner man, the commission, the referee, dude sitting in aisle 5. You know, it's always somebody but them, you know. If you get beat, just say you got beat. Say, I'll come back, you know. Canelo tried that. He was like, you know, I learned from it. You know, people like to say, I learned from it and move on. What did you learn? What did you really learn from that beating, Canelo? Did you really learn something? Is that you just popping cliches at this point? Because everybody says that. You know, I learned from it and I'm moving on. What'd you learn? That Crawford was the better fighter and he could beat you no matter what weight? Is that what you learned? another cliche I hate to hear people say when asked about regrets. I don't regret anything I did because if I changed anything, I wouldn't be the man or woman I am today. Well, maybe the man or woman you are today isn't so great. So go back and change some stuff if you could. Jump in that proverbial time machine. People have all these cliches. I learned from it, and I'm gonna keep it moving. Okay. All right. All righty. Because if you fought Terrence Crawford again, you would definitely lose. And what would you learn from that? That you didn't belong in the ring with Terrence Crawford? That's what I learned from watching the first fight. I told you guys what was going to happen. Y'all acted like I didn't know what I was talking about, some of y'all. Canelo's too big. Y'all was talking like Canelo was Arnold Schwarzenegger, like back in the 80s. Nah, he's too big. The sheep, man. Sheep. Nowadays, sheep walk upright. Me and this dude were getting in a debate, and we go way back, way back. Worked on films together, and we got in a debate about going to the moon because I say we never went to the moon. Started talking about flat Earth because I believe the Earth is flat. A round planet just doesn't make sense. The scriptures say the four corners. Why would it say corners if it's round? And think about it. It just doesn't make sense. If the Earth is round, let's say this. Okay, this is the Earth. You see, it's kind of round. Let's say like a Star Wars movie, a ship is flying underneath and it comes in the atmosphere. So when it's in the atmosphere, since it's approaching the bottom of the planet, it all of a sudden flips upright when it's in the atmosphere because, that doesn't make sense. How do you build a flat surface on a round planet? And you Google it, it says because it's so gradual that no, at some point you can't build a flat surface on a round object. Pull out your little Legos and try building something flat on a basketball. Let me know how it works out for you. The earth is flat. We never went to the moon. If we did, how come we haven't been back? We haven't been back. I could say more on the topic, but I'll probably save that for members only or my WJ channel because it's real controversial. Anytime you go against the popular belief, you get dissed and, all types of nonsense. So I'll save that for another day. But you people got to start thinking. Like Creed said, be a thinker, not a stinker. What am I going to eat today? See, I just come on here to talk to the Fearless Nation. I just chop it up with y'all like you some homies I grew up with in Southeast, Just chop it up. We can talk all types of stuff. Maybe I'll try to get Lou Savarese on here. I think he follows me on Instagram. Remember Lou Savarese, the guy Mike Tyson fought, then when Mike Tyson started talking crazy at the end of the fight about Lennox Lewis? It's the one where the referee stepped in and Mike Tyson punched around the ref to get Lou Savarese. So yeah, I'll see if I can get him on. He doesn't seem to do too many interviews. But still want to get Lennox Lewis on here, It's my favorite fighter of all time. Got to get Lennox Lewis on here. That would be a great interview. It'd be cool if I could get him on the same time as James Bashir or Jim Lampley. That would be pretty cool. Or imagine me getting on Lennox Lewis and Hakeem Rockman at the same time because they're cool now. If you remember back in the day, you would have never guessed in the future them dudes would be homies. You would have never guessed it. You would have never guessed it. But Lewis has a boxing academy, teaches the youth boxing over in Jamaica. He had James Bashir over there and Hakeem Rockman working with them. So they are homies now. Time can bring about a change. Hopefully a positive change. But yeah, I want to get some more interviews, man. They do really well. And I like picking people's brain, even if it's not in boxing. I just like to, and I don't really like watching interviews too much where all the questions are pre-written and it's kind of robotic. I like just having a natural conversation, like there's no audience. It comes across more personable and it's just more appealing to just have a conversation with somebody. It flows naturally. That's what I like to do. It makes your guest more relaxed and it just comes across more professionally. I don't like just having, so what did you think when you won the Olympics in 1988? Then they answer that. You're to the next question. You don't even, expound on that answer. You just go to the next. What is your favorite juice after a fight? Orange juice. Cool. What is your favorite color? Blue. Cool. What is your favorite? Yeah, nah, that's nasty work. That's not how I do it over here. Just let it flow. Let it flow. Is it over for Deontay Wilder if he loses to Derek Chisora? I believe it is. Even if he doesn't lose by knockout or something dramatic, it's like, where do you go from here? Because if this had been back in the day, I think a lot of people would have favored Wilder heavy. But now, I'm saying Chisora and a lot of other people were picking Chisora. Chisora seems to have reached a point where you would think he would have gotten worse, but he seems to be getting kind of better. So if he can go in there now, just think if he stops Wilder like within 2 or 3 rounds, that would be really crazy. It'd really be over for Wilder. I think even he would have to admit that if he doesn't pull the cheating card out. But yeah, I think it would be over for Wilder if he loses his fight. He has to win. He just has to if he wants to preserve his career. Wonder if he's gonna get Chisora at the end of the fight. Hopefully, the weight from the hamburger goes to Deontay's legs. I got to clown him on them legs, man. Them legs is or a lack of work, I should say. Mm, mm. Any fights tonight? Is that Keith Thurman fight tonight? Fandor, is that tonight? I don't know. Gonna have to look things up and see what's what. Just sitting here looking out the window at traffic, man. Where a 40-minute drive can turn into a 3-hour drive because there are They're constantly, I should say, working on the freeways, and there's always some accidents. So you got the accidents mixed with the construction on the freeway, and trip right up the highway or right up the street can turn into an all-day event, and you're wondering, why am I in this state? I'm going back to Cali. 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 I do think so. And they like to shut down like 3 lanes, so there'll be like 2 lanes open on a freeway. But the thing I don't get, if everybody's merging, why don't you just merge? Why do you have to park, think about it, and then merge? Just get over. Apparently, that's asking too much in Georgia. Things that make you say, shout out to Arsenio Hall. Oh, maybe I try to get Arsenio Hall on. He had on Tyson on his show, Riddick Bowe, Holyfield. Yeah, let's see if I can get Arsenio on. Shout out to Viking Samurai. That's the homie. Go subscribe to Viking Samurai. Just thought of his channel. Talks to action star. I don't like to say stars, but talks to action action figures from the 80s and 90s. Talks about that time period. But yeah, I don't call people stars because stars is something you look up to. I don't look up to people because they do movies. But go subscribe to Viking Samurai. That's the homie. Met him when he was out here at the boxing gym in Decatur. He's in some movies himself. Great martial artist, has a great platform, great interviews. Was supposed to fight Shane Mosley. Who did he beat? He beat somebody in celebrity boxing. I'm trying to remember. But he's constantly training. Real nice guy, though, man. Viking Samurai. Go subscribe if you haven't. I know YouTube plays with views and numbers because sometimes I've noticed you'll have a certain amount of views and then it'll go down. You can't undo a view. Like what? Say you have 3,000 views and then you come back and it's like 2,999. Like, no, you can't undo a view. Or you see you only had a certain amount of people in the chat, and then the minute you log off, the numbers are way higher than the people in the chat. It's like, I just logged off. How did that many people see it in a couple seconds? So stop playing with my numbers. Stop playing with my numbers. What's going down? Notice they say up now. It's up. It's up. You said yes, that's why I asked you. Also, the fight is tonight, huh? Wow, I had no clue. Is it a reasonable price? Are we talking what, $70 for that? Either way, that's a better fight than the Barrios Garcia fight. This is a more interesting fight, Thurman and Fundora. But let's get back to the reasonable prices, y'all. Stop being greedy. Greed is not what we need. And as Joe Clark said, and lean on me, thank you, sit down. I really really like Lean on Me. Of course, it goes too far at one point, but and I know they embellish some stuff, but Lean on Me, man, feel good movie. Feel good movie. I can't tell my mom I got kicked out of school. You know what crack does? It kills your brain cells, son. It kills your brain cells. I told him to jump. If you want to unalive yourself, don't around with it. Do it expeditiously. Classic stuff. In Living Color redid that where he said jump or something. I think he pushed him off or something on In Living Color when they was making fun of the movie. But Lean on Me, classic movie. Go check that out. And yes, I'm all over the place, like I said. You know how I do. You know how I get down. I cover it all. I cover movies, boxing, movies, you know. But guess I'm about to call it a day on here. Got to get some videos out for y'all. Just want to go live and chop it up with the Fearless Nation. If you didn't come through, hopefully you can catch the replay because it'll be posted. I even share them to Facebook if we're friends on there. So check it out. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining, you know? You know how I do. And if there's anybody you would like to see me interview, just DM me on Instagram. It's the J Roos Theory over there too. Let me know who it is, and I will try to make that happen. It doesn't even have to be boxing, you know. If it's somebody from a fight movie or just somebody you just want to hear. Just let me know. I wish I could get on Sylvester Stallone. Man, that would be huge. Hey, old kid, it's time. Oh, man, that'd be cool. Sly Stallone. Here he's doing a Rocky prequel. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure. Sometimes seeing prequels could kind of change how you see the current movie, you know? So I don't know. Of course, there's talks of the Drago spinoff that Stallone doesn't approve of. My son sent me information that Michael B. Jordan's in early talks, or they're working on the early development of Creed 4. Hopefully, I can get a part in that. You know, I'm heavyweight here. That would be cool, though. If I get in Creed 4, even if it's just an extra, I would just call it a day because I ain't trying to get caught up, with all the weird stuff that be going on. I ain't definitely ain't down with that foolishness. Just Creed 4 or some Sylvester Stallone's in and then call it a day. Walk off in the sunset. None of the after parties, none of that. That is not for the righteous. Them after parties are wild. Wild. They're not even parties, they something else. You can't even call it a party. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Even I don't even watch the news, but what's going on. You know what's going on from word of mouth, if nothing else. But thanks for watching. Like I said, you guys know where to find me on social media. Cash App, $ J Roos 33, LSR forever, and be fearless. Yay to the yay.